Hey everyone, my name is Sami, and if you know me at all, or if you follow me on any of my social medias, you would know that I backpacked around Europe for 3 months this past summer. I studied abroad in Florence, Italy for 2 months and solo traveled Europe for just about a month. So from my personal experiences, here are some tips and tricks to backpacking Europe. Initially, what you want to do is figure out who you will be traveling with. If you'll be by yourself, if you're going with a group of friends, or if you want to do a group tour, such as Contiki, or in Italy there was Bus to Alps and Smart Trip, which I went to Croatia and the Amalfi Coast with. So I came up with a list of things to do in each city, knowing that there was no way I was getting all of them done. And then I took a picture of a map of the city and I kind of located where the things I wanted to do were, and I planned my days around that. One thing I'd recommend is to not overbook yourself. So don't fill in every time slot of every single day that you're going to be traveling, because number one, you're going to burn yourself out. Number two, that doesn't leave you any free space if you meet new people and you want to hang out with them or go to a new destination that they might be going to. You're stuck to your schedule. So another thing you can look into is the CITYPASS, which is a little booklet full of tickets to attractions and things to do within specific cities. I bought one in Paris, and then on my recent trip to Canada, I bought one in Toronto. And basically it's a way of getting all these tickets in one, and you're able to see all the attractions you would have seen anyway at a very discounted price. You get to skip the lines, and it's a really great investment. So let's talk transportation. Flights. My flight from America to Europe, so I did Cleveland to JFK, to Madrid to Pisa, and then on my way back, Amsterdam to Iceland to Boston, I believe, and then back to Cleveland, was $1,200 US. There are so many ways for you to save money while booking flights. Use websites that compare different airlines such as Skyscanner and Kayak and Student Universe. Put your browser in incognito mode because airlines like to track what you're searching and up the prices and make you pay more for those flights. So with these flight comparison websites, you can often sign up for flight updates where they will send you an email if the price of a flight is very low or they think it's about to go very high, and you can snag the best deal. Do your research. Sometimes one-ways are even cheaper than round trips. And be flexible. That's my number one tip, is to be flexible when booking your flights. Waiting a day or two can save you hundreds of dollars. While you're in Europe, there are super cheap budget airlines that you can use to travel from country to country, such as Ryanair and EasyJet. But with these, know that you are not paying for luxury and you have to watch out for extra baggage fees, but it's an amazing way to travel. Next is my favorite method of transportation, trains. Trains are great. You board and sleep until you get to your destination. It's amazing. If you're going to be traveling by train most of the time, I would look into getting a EURAIL pass. I got one for 1 month continuous across all European countries, I believe. And from what I've heard from other travelers, it's only worth your money if you're traveling across long distances. So if you're going to stay within a country too, maybe it's not worth it, but do the math, do some research, figure out if it's right for you. And also with the EURAIL pass, you still have to reserve your seat. Just because you have the pass does not mean you can just walk on a train and sit down. The reservation fees are usually in between 10 and 12 euros, which is still a lot cheaper than if you didn't have the EURAIL pass at all. And make sure to validate your train ticket at the train station, or you can get fined. And that's not the best place to be spending your money, especially if you are traveling on a budget. I once bought a pass that I thought was for 24 hours, but ended at the end of the day. So when I tried to use it the next day, I was fined 60 euros. So not the best thing. Other methods of transportation include Uber and Lyft, which are basically car sharing websites. You basically enter in the location you want to go, and a Uber or Lyft driver will come pick you up from your current destination, wherever you are. And they're usually not too expensive. Depending on the time of day, or if there's like a festival or something going on, the prices will go up. One of the least expensive ways to get around the city is by bike. I would definitely recommend taking at least one bike tour if you're going to be backpacking. One of the scariest moments of my trip was when I was taking a bike tour through Amsterdam. So my life flashed before my eyes more than once. Another common way to move throughout the city is by metro or bus. It's cheap, it's easy to get around, it's what the locals use, and it's convenient. Oh, taxis. They're expensive. You can get ripped off very easily, especially if the taxi driver knows that you're not from the area, but they are a great resource if you feel like you need to use them to get out of an unsafe situation. Safety above everything else. I'm always willing to pay more to make myself feel safe rather than take the risk. Packing. Pack light. Lay out all your clothes that you're going to be taking and literally remove half of them, because I promise you're not even going to wear them. And remember that you can always buy clothes and cosmetics and anything else you need in the country once you arrive. So don't worry about packing every little thing. Pack the right shoes, especially if you're backpacking, because you already know that you're going to be walking around constantly all day, every day. Don't pack heels. Don't pack 6 pairs of wedges. Don't pack that new pair of shoes that you just bought that you're going to have to break in, because you'll get blisters and it's going to suck. So bring a good pair of tennis shoes, a pair of flip-flops for hostels and beaches, and a nice pair of sandals. That's what I survived on for 3 months, and I was totally fine. Make sure to bring a cardigan or some kind of cover-up if you're going to be visiting temples and churches. Safety. So travel insurance is one of those things where it's better safe than sorry. You don't want to be stuck in a situation where you're injured and you're in a hospital, or your bag is stolen. Things like that is when travel insurance comes in handy. Especially if you're staying in hostels, buy locks. Buy lots of locks. I had a lock on my backpack all the time, even when I was traveling through the city. I had a lock on my big backpack for when it was left in the hostels, which was mostly for my peace of mind, because pickpocketing is a huge problem in Europe. Ladies, buy a crossbody purse. It's less likely that it will be stolen from you rather than if you had a purse like this where people can just like take it off your shoulder and bye-bye purse. So, and with that, make sure it zips up, because otherwise people can just reach in and steal your stuff. They can steal your money, your passport, anything that is of value to you. Don't carry your passport on you at all times. Keep it in your hostel, your apartment, your hotel, wherever you're staying. Keep it locked up in there. And make copies of your passport and carry a copy with you, just in case an official asks you to identify yourself or something along those lines. Don't keep anything in your back pocket. Not your phone, not your passport, not your wallet, not your keys, not anything important to you. Funny story, when I was studying abroad, my roommate and I were visiting France, and we were in Paris, and we were on our way back to our hostel, walking up the stairs out of the subway station, and my roommate felt somebody taking her phone out of her back pocket. So she turns around and confronts this 14 or 12-year-old girl and yells at her until she got her phone back. But, I mean, it can happen to anyone, it can happen anywhere. Just be aware that it's possible, and theft is a problem. If you're backpacking, and especially if you're backpacking solo, use common sense. Don't get drunk alone, don't walk alone by yourself at night, and just be aware of your surroundings. Walk around with a plan, with a purpose, with a sense of direction. Don't just stand on a street corner holding a map looking like a tourist, because pickpockets will see that and they will target you. Your goal as a traveler is to minimize opportunities for theft. Budgeting and saving. I personally had to pay for this entire trip myself. For the study abroad portion, I took out loans to cover my classes, which, funny enough, were the most expensive part of this trip. The backpacking portion, I saved up money through working 4 jobs in college, selling anything I could on Amazon and eBay, and working odd jobs. Anything to get some extra cash, I was doing it. Pay attention to how much you're spending because, especially if you're going out a lot, alcohol can add up. And remember your student ID. It can get you discounts at movie theaters and museums and certain attractions. Money. When you're traveling between different countries, you will be dealing with different currencies. So for me personally, one of the best ways that I kept track of that is by using a currency app. You can enter the dollar amount in euros or dollars, and then it will convert it to whatever country you're in. Don't exchange your money at the airport. They have the worst exchange rate probably anywhere. So when I first landed in Italy, I needed to get euros because I was only carrying dollars. So I went up to the kiosk and I got 60 euros for 100 American dollars. Just to let that sink in. Euros and dollars are pretty similar. So I should have gotten 80 or 90, hopefully, and I only got 60. So for your sake and your sanity, stay away from airport kiosks whenever possible when exchanging your money. Always have more than one way of accessing your money, whether that's through a credit card, a debit card, a AAA card, or cash. And speaking of cash, don't carry huge wads of cash around. It will attract attention, and not the attention that you might want. What I recommend is when withdrawing money, take out at maximum a week or a week and a half of what you think you'll need for groceries, traveling costs, etc. And remember, for most credit cards and debit cards, an international fee will occur when you are withdrawing your money. Call your bank and let them know you're traveling. Your bank is just trying to protect you. So when it sees someone spending all your money overseas, it's going to shut your account down. So just call them, let them know that you're going to be traveling so that they know someone is not spending your money. If at all possible, bring more money than you think you'll need. You don't have to spend it all, but it's always nice to have that cushion, and it's always even better to not run out of money halfway through your trip and either have to fly home or have someone bail you out. Electronics. So as you may know, outlets are not the same all over the world, and neither is the voltage. So you are most likely going to need to get an adapter and a converter. When using your smartphone overseas, there are usually 3 options for what you can do. You can get a data plan from your carrier before you leave, you can get a SIM card when you arrive, or you can just use the city Wi-Fi. So what I did was, when I was studying abroad, I just used the Wi-Fi that was all over Italy. Now when I went on my backpacking trip, I bought a SIM card just because I wanted that extra safety net in case anything were to go wrong and I needed internet right away and I couldn't find Wi-Fi or something like that. Some apps I would recommend are WhatsApp, which is a messaging app that allows you to text and call anyone anywhere in the world, along with Rail Planner, which is very helpful if you have a EURAIL pass and you're trying to figure out train times and locations and things like that. It's really helpful. Usually when you're studying abroad, there are 2 options for accommodation. The first is to stay with the host family, and the second is to stay in an apartment, which is what I did. Now, when you're traveling, there are many more options. You can do couch surfing, which is a way for you to literally sleep on somebody's couch for free. And it's great because you can meet new people and you can see the city from a local's perspective. I personally haven't done it, but I've heard some pretty good reviews, as sketchy as it sounds. My favorite method of accommodation is hostels. It's basically dorm-style living, and you're stuck in a room with usually 4 to even 19 other travelers, and it's a riot. So usually, depending on the city and the time of year, it ranges from 15 euros to 40 euros per night. If you're planning on staying in a hostel, bring earplugs and or headphones, because when you're staying in a room with that many people and you are exhausted and you just want to go to bed, you have to get up early, 9 times out of 10 there's going to be somebody who snores in your room. You can use websites like Hostelworld and Hostel Booker to find your hostels. Find one with a kitchen, especially if you're going to be staying in a city for a few days or so. Cooking is one of the best ways to save money. Literally just get some bread and some lunch meat or some pasta. Pasta is so cheap. You can save so much money by cooking inside of your hostel. Other options for accommodation include Airbnb, which is basically a way for you to rent out somebody's spare bedroom or even house while they're not home. And you can also stay in hotels, which are great and clean and nice, but very expensive. So those are my tips and tricks for how to backpack Europe. If I forgot anything or if you have any other questions for me, leave it down in the comments. And subscribe to my channel for more travel videos. Bye guys.